But when you measure it flat, it contradicts that. I'm spitting flat facts and that. And I know you don't like that. Google Maps is flat, it presents elevation profiles like that. I'm a spitting flat earth king. Sentence has a ring, doing my own thing. If earth was a big roast chicken, factually finger licking chicken. We just got the measurements missing. I'm spitting eggs and begs, begging the question lesson. I've said it before, time after time. I'm the spitting flat earth king of rhyme.
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate, Uncut and After Show. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere. There's also a coffee, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Speaking of patrons, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon. So, a massive shout of thanks and appreciation to Smith Tools and Purchase, a Level Plain Poem, who I'll be going through one of her books that I actually read yesterday with my wife, the one that was addressed to Clover, so hopefully I'll go through that on today's live show. Colton James, Survive the Spin, Effie Patriot, Thomas van der Zander, Measured Flat, Tiers Morgan, Mitch Kennedy, Rod, The Name is Burley, J Mel's 24, Unimento, Iron 26, Retro Bill, John Kays, Patrick Gunnells, Banter, Hairy Blaze, Mobile Mac 777, Rob W, Del West Watson, Unbelievable Productions, Blue Ridge Ranger, Abraham Mohammed, Skeptic 936, Texas Mike, Chow Yun Cat, and Dank. So another massive thank you to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Links, as I say, to Patreon are below this video. And with that, I will hand across to whoever is in Discord and Google so you can enjoy their dulcet tones while I set up for today's live show. I can't see an email from her.
It sounds more earthly and sexy, that microphone.
This is a very high quality microphone, too good for walking around with, frankly. In any event, I'm holding it because I might as well go on camera. Because I'm trying to find an email from Level Plain Poem that says, yes, this is where you can buy the book I've sent you. In this case, sent Clover. So this book's called Level Plain Poem, A Flat Earth Introduction. Or no, it's just Level Plain Poem, Flat Earth Introduction. That's the name of the book. Poems by Tamara Cheville, cover by Cosmic Energy. And it's got a little dedication inside it. To Clover, this book is for you. See if you can find the page with your daddy on it. He's very smart and has taught me quite a lot about how we measure Earth flat. He's helping adults everywhere understand what you already know, silly adults. From Tam. So that's the dedication to Clover. Now, Clover's already read this, but I dug out a couple of little sections that I will go through. 3, to be perfectly honest. One is the bit with me. I'll just show this. I'll do this one now. Let me just clear my throat. You don't need a degree in astrophysics or even science because there is a growing community with this common alliance. Nathan Oakley's Flat Earth Debate on YouTube offers daily reminders that people everywhere are getting it and taking off their blinders. He engages those challenging him with his merry band of researchers, but don't expect a soft response. They are definitely not nurturers. They'll laugh and they'll poke and they'll take on any flat earth fight. It's great entertainment to hear Nathan and his panel proven right. You like that? I've got 2 other sections that are all marked up ready, with the corners of the book should be horrified. Me pending the corners of the book she sent. Nevertheless, I need to be able to have quick reference to the 2 that I thought. I'll read those out for the show tomorrow. But like I say, I haven't got any information on where I can direct people to go and find a copy. So doesn't matter. I've got 4 books, so if not with this one, which is the one, as I say, addressed to Clover. Note. Nathan, Paula, this book is for Miss Clover. It's a little bit easier. Oh, okay, that's a note for us. Really sweet. She's gone to a lot of effort, is the point, but I do want to plug it in a way that I can direct the audience to find the books if indeed they wanted to buy them, or whatever, find her if it's a YouTube channel. But she hasn't responded. I'll have another look. Maybe she has gone to bed when I sent the message and then seen it yet. But when I do one of the other 3 books, if I don't do it on this one, I want to properly plug where people can find the material, as she's gone to the effort of producing it and sending it to me at her expense. So there we go. As I say, I'll read the other 2 during the live show. But the one about me, the poem about me and Flat Earth debate, can stay here in the pre-show. I also did a little skit that was semi-developed by us yesterday, sort of organically grew out of a few Good Men quotes. So I said I'd take their script and parody it with a flat version. So a few flat men. Who wants to do that? Do you want to hear it?
I want the link.
You want the link? Oh, have I not sent it?
No, me and John are working out Tom Cruise, A Few Good Men scene.
I would be Tom Cruise, obviously. There you go, it's in Master B.
I thought you were going to be the judge.
No. Need somebody who's good at reading to be the Jack Nicholson part, because it's very talky.
Oh, yeah, he's got some scene in that.
Right. So whoever's good at reading can do the Jack Nicholson part. You can be Simon Dan the judge. The judge. Name not available. Who's that? Identify yourself. Name not available. How dare you?
Is that me?
No.
Listen, you.
Oh, it's you.
Why am I you?
I don't know. Your name not available.
What?
Whatever. Have you got... No. Well, there's 3 of us. Have you got it in front of you? We can read it now if you want to read through it. John, as you're here, you will have to be the most wordy part. Do you want to
Yeah,
do
but
this?
we don't got it together yet. Don't mess
You
it
just
up.
have to read
We're
it.
just playing
You don't have to
with
get
it.
nothing together. You just have to read it.
Nah, we're still working out what he's going to say.
No, you don't. You just have to read it. You are
Go
the
ahead, you
judge.
2 guys give it a go.
Are you okay to be the judge, though? Can you read it off Neil first? Can you read it? Can you actually read it? Line. It's already a complete catastrophe.
I don't know where you're at. Are you talking
Master
about...
B.
Where's the script at? I can.
No,
It's in
but where
Master
are you
B.
talking about? I know it's in Master B, but where... From what part on? From where John started?
From the top, I would start. I've already said. It's Nathan Cruz. Thank you very much.
Oh.
Then you. Be your second. So to start us off, it's all well and good me reading my line if you're not going to follow immediately after with yours. So it needs me, you, and John. Now, John's going to have the most wordy part, but he's just got to read it. Got it? It's in Master B. If not, I'll send it again. Craig, where do I find the settings for sound so that I can put it into Stream Deck. So when I start my show, I have to press the buttons on my Stream Deck to load all the different programs. Well, I want to press a button to make sound come up, but I just couldn't find it. I spent about 3/4 of an hour looking through. I ended up going through file extensions for Microsoft, and I just couldn't find the damn thing to assign it on my Stream Deck. Do you know what I mean by sound? Just sure you do. Not even freaking listening. He's just joined and run away.
Oh,
Hold on, I see what you got. I just clicked on your thing. Now you got to click on that refracted, where it says CC Christian Zekas and it says Nathan Cruz. Click on that. That's what you're talking about, right?
Yes.
Okay, when you click on that, it's going to take you to the whole, the whole script.
Did this during the art class.
I got it.
This will probably make the book, by the way.
You guys go.
This will make the book. That's why I want it to be read, because in the book I'll phrase it as such, like, during the show we did a skit called A Few Flat Men, which was a parody of A Few Good Men. The main characters being Simon Dan the Judge, McTooney Loon, and Nathan Cruz. Playing the part of McLooney Toon today is Refracted Curvature. Playing Simon Dan the Judge is Neil Constantino, and playing himself is Nathan Cruz.
All right, we ready?
You ready, John?
just do it.
You're using a flat Earth angle measurement.
You don't have to answer that. Oh, I messed up already.
Let's try again.
I'm looking at the wrong line.
Your line's contempt. Let's try again.
Go ahead.
You're using a flat Earth angle measurement.
Contempt. You don't only measure Earth flat.
Did you measure the Earth flat?
You don't have to answer that question.
I'll answer the question. You want angles?
I think they're inevitable.
You want angles.
I want the truth.
You can't handle the truth, little boy. We live in a world that has vertical walls parallel to the plane of reference. Those walls are measured at 90 degrees, and who's going to know we need horizontal when referencing Earth for the measurements? I have a great responsibility to use the EQ mount for the full 24 hours of angle measurements. It's more angle measures. It's more you could ever fathom. You weep for Antarctica and you curse anti-flat earthers. You have the luxury of knowing what I know, that the Earth's flat Earth angles made in Antarctica, while tragic, and the same angles that save lives. And my angle measurements, while grotesque, save lives. You don't understand that truth because deep down in places you no longer talk about at parties, you want me on that ice wall measuring those angles. We use words like level, parallel, plane. We use these words in a backbone to Earth measurement. You use them as a punchline. I have neither the time nor the inclination to explain these flat Earth measurements to a man who rises and falls under the flat skies I've measured, enjoying the flat angles I provide. I'd rather you just said thank you and went on your way. Otherwise, pick up a sextant and calculate a circle of equalization. Either way, I don't give a damn what you think is inevitable.
Did you measure Earth flat?
I did the job that I...
Did you measure the Earth flat?
I did.
MPs, secure the lunatic. We don't only measure Earth flat. And that's it.
Very good. Well done.
Yeah, on the fly, that was pretty good, John. That was a lot of reading you had to do.
It's a big old chunk though, isn't it? But it's so useful to have you want me on that ice wall.
Nathan, that's really good. I like how you did that. Nice.
We use words like level, parallel, plane. We use these words as a backbone to Earth measurement. You use them as a punchline.
Yeah, with rehearsals, you could nail that. You almost nailed it now.
Yeah, it was great. Good enough for government work.
You're gonna have to edit out the gap where I stopped the interruption part because I didn't know what you wanted me to read after that, and there's like a 3 second gap before you interrupted me.
That's only a read
takes
through.
away from it.
Sure, we'll end up doing it again.
Yeah, but I like the whole few seconds before that when Tom Cruise is questioning him, because then he goes into that whole where you doctored the logbooks, and when it went bad, you let these guys loose.
Nah, I like it from where I've took it. I could have gone back further. I could have cut the speech right down, but I tried to like match the timbre of Jack Nicholson's bit by copying each phrase and making it into a flat earth phrase, which is no easy task. You know, you want to keep it kind of the length that it is. You want to keep it kind of the timbre and tone that it is. You want the disdain markers to be in the right place. Because if I'm talking about something that's positive and in our favour, when he's actually spitting feathers in the movie that you're parodying, it doesn't hit the same punctuation marks that people expect. You know, expect anger at a certain point in the speech. You want to get it in relation to the subject that you're using to parody it with. So it took me about an hour and a half. It's all I did while I was at the art class. That was it. That was an hour and a half work. And then I spent 10 minutes afterwards looking for an AI video generator that I could punch in the script and see what it chunked out. And after about 3 or 4 apps being downloaded, watching a couple of YouTube videos on which ones were good that were free, the one that I finally got to do what I wanted it to do was like, you need 12 credits to make this work. Credits are £1.50 each. And I'm like, piss off. No.
Yeah, but you got to get it in there where you use an elevation angle and doctored the log with Habersign. You got to get that first part in there.
Well, you write it. Just write it and add it. I'll chuck it on the beginning of the script if it's
all
good.
Right, I'll work on it later. You've
already got it. That sounded good. That's why I said to add it. You doctored the measurements with Habersign, didn't you? Something like that. Sounds great.
How are you?
I'm all right. Not too bad at all.
Can't handle the curvature.
What was that, John?
I said you can't handle the curvature.
You can't handle the curvature. So we were doing a little skit in the pre-show. A few flat men. Which I might go through later on the live show. Although I do have other plans to begin with. So I'm probably saw me on camera when I started the live show, still flicking my way through emails and indeed PayPal, which is where the very generous Tamara, who has sent me a load of books, tends to get in touch with me when she's sending me money just to communicate with me, which I'm very grateful of. However, she sent me at great expense several books, and I actually managed to read one of them, admittedly the most basic one that was addressed to Clover, my youngest daughter. But yeah, nonetheless, Level Playing Poem, Flat Earth Introduction. Now, I did read the section on me, which is about a third of the way into the book, but I'm going to read the introduction to you, and then maybe I'll later on read another poem that I have actually marked out ready by folding the corner of the page over. Sacrilege. Introduction to Flat Earth. I'm starting a poem. I'm trying to rhyme, so maybe it'll make sense what I'm saying this time. Break free from the chains, break free from the lies. I hope that this poem will help open your eyes. That's the introduction to Level Playing Poems book, Flat Earth Introduction. Now, the reason I was looking on my iPad is because I sent her a message late evening yesterday to say, when I do go through this book, it'd be nice to be able to direct the audience to where they can actually get a copy of it. And she hasn't replied yet. Now, I do have 3 other books that I'm going to go through once I've read them. So I have actually read this one with my wife, or to be more accurate, have my wife read it to me. But nevertheless, I've gone through it and obviously looked through it to a certain extent as well, to the point where I'm happy picking out a couple of poems, reading the bit about me, and indeed presenting it to a live audience. So once again, that's Level Playing Poem, Flat Earth Introduction, poems by Tamara Chevelle. So, or is it Cheville? Hopefully I'm saying your name correctly. Sorry if I'm butchering it. But there we go. I'll, in future references to this, hopefully be able to tell you where you can get your own copy of it and maybe direct you to a YouTube channel if she's got one, things like that. So I've asked her for that information. I just haven't got it yet. But as I've got 4 books to go through, this is the first I will read, hopefully, if I don't forget, another poem from it that I've marked out ready to be read on this live show. So that's my plug for Flat Earth Introduction by Level Playing Poem. Thank you very much for sending them me again, Tamara. Really appreciate it. As I say, the other thing we did was A Few Flat Men. Did you guys like my script then, I take it?
Yes, I liked it, but I think we got to go up a little bit more to the beginning questioning, which should only be about 4 or 5 lines.
It was ace. Get that in. That part, Neil, Nathan.
What do you mean? I mean, if I can get Refracted's attention, we might do it again now if I can get him. If he's around. Are you there, John?
Yeah.
You want to do it again?
Kids are asleep too. It's probably the best time.
You want to do it again or not? You don't have to.
You said it's a bad time.
Oh, it's a bad time.
No, I said this would be the best time. My kids
best?
are asleep right now.
Okay. Do you want to do it again, Neil?
Yeah, let me get it. Hold on. Okay. I'm ready.
You ready, John? Wally's.
1 second.
Well, I'll do an introduction to the audience. So what we're doing is a little script I wrote during my eldest daughter's art class today, where I'll typically be writing anecdotes for the upcoming book that's going to be released hopefully around Easter time. Instead, this will probably make the book as well, so not wasted effort in that regard, but a script off the back of yesterday's after show where we were thrashing our way through some parts of A Few Good Men and turning it into You Can't Handle the Curve and things like that, right? So off the back, I said, look, I'll develop a little script from the main section of that back and forth between Jack Nicholson and Tom Cruise, with the judge interluding occasionally, or interjecting, I should say, occasionally. So that's what this is going to be. So this is A Few Flat Men. You all ready, gentlemen?
Yep.
You used a flat Earth angle measurement.
Contempt, you don't only measure Earth flat.
Did you measure the Earth flat?
You don't have to answer that question.
I'll answer the question. You want angles?
I think they're inevitable.
You want angles?
I want the truth.
You can't handle the truth, little boy. We live in a world that has vertical walls parallel to the plane of reference. Those walls are measured at 90 degrees. Who's going to know we need horizontal when referencing Earth for the measurements? I have a great responsibility to use EQ mounts for the full 24 hours of angle measurements. It's more than you could ever fathom. You weep for anarchy and you curse the anti-flat earthers. You have that luxury. You have the luxury of knowing what I know, that the Earth flat Earth angles made in Antarctica, what tragic, are the same angles that save lives, and my angle measurements, while grotesque, save lives. You don't understand that truth, because deep down in places you no longer talk about at parties, you want me on that ice wall, measuring those angles. We use words like level, parallel, plane. We use these words you use them as a punchline. I have neither the time nor the inclination to explain these flat measurements to a man who rises and falls under the flat sky I've measured, enjoying the flat angles I provide. I'd rather you said thank you and went on your way. Otherwise, pick up a sextants and calculate a circle of equal elevation. Either way, I don't give a damn what you think is inevitable.
Did you measure Earth flat?
I did the job that I have.
Did you
trained to
measure
do.
the Earth flat?
You goddamn right I did.
MPs, secure the lunatic. We don't only measure Earth flat.
There you go. A few flat men. So after writing that, I spent quite some time trying to find a AI program that was free that would allow me to put the script in and just have it turn into a video. I was not successful. Not unless I wanted to part with 120 quid, which I did not. So I'm hoping that one of my panel members, maybe Len, will turn up and I'll go, "Oh, hi Len. Any chance that AI program that you've already paid for can be put to use by churning this script into a video?" And we'll see if it can generate an AI script from it. Thank you very much, Neil and Refracted Curvature, for doing that. They did do a run through in the pre-show, so that was actually rehearsed, believe it or not. But yeah, my characters are Toon, who's the Colonel by parody. So he's obviously talking about measuring his full 24 hours of elevation angles on that wall. And then you've got Judge Simon Dan and the very handsome, very dashing Nathan Cruz as the prosecutor. That would be me. So those are the characters in that particular skit. Obviously, Jack Nicholson being the McToon Looney Tune character, the defence witness, and that was played by John, and obviously the Simon Dan Judge character being played by Neil. So I thank you both.
My freaking 3 big lines.
You are.
Somebody had to keep order.
Yes. Indeed.
You did it epically.
But it requires somebody read a whole massive chunk of speech like Jack Nicholson's, being on the wall. We use words like level, plane, horizon. You use them as a punchline. We use them as the backbone of measuring Earth flat.
That was really good.
That's that. What else is there to talk about today? Done my level plane poem. I could read the other one.
Didn't some people give you videos of normies I've seen in we're not doing them anymore?
No, we can do that. I'll do another poem before we do, though. As with the thespian type reading poetry and doing skits, I'll read this poem to round it out. As I say, I don't have the information to direct the audience where to go, but I will for the next book that I read. So this is another from Level Playing Poem Flat Earth Introduction, which was sent with a handwritten note to Clover from Tamara. So thank you very much. That's Level Playing Poem for sending this. And this will be today's last poem. And this one is called Flat is Not a Shape. Flat is not a shape, as many can get stuck on that word. Flat is the level, horizontal description of the Earth's plane. Don't get deterred. That's it. Some great images on this as well. Lovely artwork. Wonderful. Thank you again, Tamara, or Level Playing Poem, for sending me all of this. I did read out the bit about me, self-indulgent that it would be to do on the live show. I did that in the pre-show, along with the introduction earlier. And hopefully tomorrow or whenever, maybe in a couple of days' time, I'll go through the next one. I've got 4 of them, one to each of us. One was the one that was addressed specifically to Clover, as it was that little bit more easy to read and digest, hence the poems being quite basic. There you go. Did you enjoy the poetry from Level Playing Poem? Yes, Nathan, we thought it was wonderful. Oh, that's good.
Outstanding.
Awesome. Dee Dee posting it in the YouTube chat and the FED chat right now.
What, the video that we'll be covering today?
Level Playing Poems at the moment.
Oh, brilliant. Oh, perfect. Right, yes, I can lift that link. Thank you so much. I was a little bit sad that I wasn't going to be able to do that. Excellent, excellent. Right, let's stick that in the live stream chat. Oh, no, where's my... There it is. Oh, somebody's already doing it. Divergent droids all over it before me. Perfect. Thank you very much indeed. So there's a link so that you can go to Level Playing Poem. Brilliant. Thank you, lads. Much obliged. We'll cover another one tomorrow, I don't doubt. I mentioned that we'd finished the read-through of the 6th draft my wife's put together.
Today you didn't mention it. I didn't hear you mention it.
So over the last 2 or 3 days, we're doing it little and often, the editing of the book through the last couple of drafts. And we're now at the point where we've got a full 6th draft together. And my wife just wanted to get straight into editing it. She was like, we'll spend 2 or 3 days on each chapter and we'll just, edit it together. And I was like, no. I want to read through what we've got in its entirety, start to finish, so that we're familiar with the material as we move it around. Like, say, no, this chapter needs to be earlier than that chapter, and that chapter needs to come at the end. Along with slotting in that little skit, which I'll put in somewhere, wherever the Antarctica references are, if there are any. I can't actually remember. Should remember. I'm sure there is something to do with Antarctica in there somewhere. If not, I'll add it. But yeah, the book's good. It's a good book. I'm very pleased. It needs a bit of reordering in terms of, like I say, which chapters go in which order. There's a couple of anecdotes that aren't necessarily next to the right housekeeping chapter. But beyond that, it's really, really good. I'm very pleased with what we've got. That's probably why I'm so relaxed today. Because when you've taken stock, and it's taken 3 or 4 months, or however long it's taken my wife, maybe 2 months to take stock, it can be quite stressful while that process is going on. So now, having had it read out to me by the person editing it, I've got a good idea of what I need to change as the chapters progress. That's to say, in the earlier chapters 1, 2, 3, there's very little to do. There's like a couple of half a dozen, maybe most little changes to make, but not much. And then as the chapters get into the higher numbers, they need more and more work, so it'll take more and more time. And then once we're through with that, I'll shove it into the noses of people from the panel, whoever's willing or wants to involve themselves in that process. That is to say, having a little goosey in advance of it getting published, in case there's anything egregious that somebody notices. Shouldn't be the case by that stage. That'll be the 7th draft.
Well, that's one of the reasons. That's one of the reasons I didn't want to be too much a part of the book. I wanted to be able to be a critic and tell you how horrible it was.
Well, yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking for. But pre-publication, that's the kind of critical eye. I'll be like, look, I'm happy with this at this stage. But before it's actually published, tell me what you think isn't quite right. At the moment, there's a lot of rhetoric about housekeeping that I want to alter. As much as it was perfectly acceptable 2 years ago when the book was starting to be written to phrase all of the housekeeping subject matters in the way that they are, now I want to go through it, having heard it, and go and insert every single reference that requires a flat earth to do. Do you remember when Brian would be like, don't interrupt my story to point out that you need a flat earth for that? We all know that already. Let's just get through the globe rhetoric so that you can understand it as they would put it down on the table. Well, now it's down on the table in my book, right, in terms of each housekeeping question. It might not be all of the most recent housekeeping questions in there, by the way. If they're not like they've been consistently in like at least 2 or 3 years worth of shows, and they were added in the last 6 months or something, then it's not worthy of becoming a chapter. Sorry. But the sentiment has changed, so why not reflect that in each housekeeping question? Where there's a flat earth prerequisite, point it out. Doesn't matter that it's any evidence of earth curvature. I can now point out that during the process your horizontal parallel eye level is required, and that needs to be pointed out every single time it's mentioned. So from that perspective, it will take a little bit of 2 or 3 days per chapter to make those adjustments. But the bulk and body of what's the information about each thing we cover each day is generally very globe related, obviously. So therefore, I wanted all that information to be rich in the book, and it already is. The rhetoric change or rhetoric change, however you'd say that, can just be added in this editorial process. which is good, right? It hasn't been in front of anybody or released, so it's not like it needs to be a second revision. The first revision will come out with all of the corrections to our current rhetoric made to the housekeeping question. As it's being read, you'll read about how Earth is being measured flat, along with how the story of the globe is incorporating a Thea smashing into a world in a glancing blow in a orbital motion that's working with respect to a plane of reference. Whereas the bit that I just said last, working with respect to a plane of reference, isn't necessarily there currently in that chapter as an example. So that's something that I will have to add in. But that's why it's not coming out tomorrow. You know, it's still got a little bit of work to be done on it to make it 100% as I would hope it to be. And everybody else wants that, right? Everybody wants to read through a chapter on gravity and hear how Earth is measured flat during that discussion about what gravity is for them, how it's been dealt with in the debate, who invented it, what versions are there of it, and how a flat Earth is needed to suggest it, wrong though it may be. So that's what will be incorporated into the chapters moving forward. Other than that, like I say, the bulk of what you'd want on a chapter on gravity or a chapter on scientific evidence or a chapter on molten iron cores, it's all there, right? The material's all there already. Substantial.
Hey, do you want some
Good.
Do you want some Principia citations?
I've got enough citations. I'm good. I want to pare them back. That's what I always wanted to do. While, you know, my trumped up editors went a bit overboard gathering up bazillion citations. You know, I wanted to have my book fact checked with potentially a citation where absolutely necessary. And I've got many to choose from.
Like,
good.
Like where you say that gravity requires a plane of reference, right? Wouldn't it be necessary to show where Newton states that explicitly and implicitly?
Yeah, that would be useful. But it may not be necessary. My general tone and demeanour is to try and make these points without needing citation, because that's just how I've operated on the show. It's out of inconvenience to go and look something up on the fly, when my opponent, who's just got their mic and their web browser and the shows coming through their ear holes, me yelling at them about how they're using a flat earth, they have got the luxury of being able to go and look up a citation. Me, running the live show, I've never had that privilege, so I've always fought my position in a way that didn't require me to go and dig out citations unless absolutely necessary. And even then, I'd have people provide them to me on the fly. That would be you guys, basically, my panel, would do that for me, right? Like a butler.
Well, Nathan, it does not take long in the Principia. It's actually in the introduction.
Oh, okay. Of course it is. That makes perfect sense. But yeah, I mean, that's the kind of thing that I'd hope that you guys would look at when reading it, when I go through it with you guys in, I don't know, it'd probably be 6 weeks, something like that, and go, right, here's what I think is finished. And when we get to the gravity bit, you go, why don't you put in a citation from the Principia and point out that within the first couple of pages, a flat plane's being detailed explicitly as required by Newton himself. You're like, yeah, that would be a great addition at that point. But then it's like a brief sentence while I'll have my wife on the call actually doing the work there and then, and it'll be like, right, everyone be quiet while we actually do that. And then it'll get put in that moment rather than it being a note for a later date, which is what I'm taking mentally now from you. So yeah, there's going to be various different things that you all go, no, it could do with this, a little bit of this. But so long as what you get to read when we go through that process is like 90% there or 95% there, which is to say you just enjoy hearing the chapter on distance to the sun and you're hearing it going, yeah, I like this. And then you go, after hearing it, wouldn't it be good if you had X? We go like, right, let's do that immediately and just slot it in.
Yeah, you know, most of the citations, though, like if you really look at them, the the flat plane is always there in the first paragraph. it's like you said, it's inevitable.
Yeah.
You look at Andrew Thomas Young's paper. That's in the introduction, the very very beginning of his paper.
Yep. It was something I learned from Yes Minister when they were dealing with a comedy series on BBC, in case you don't know what Yes Minister is, taking the mickey out of government. And you've got the permanent secretary and the minister discussing an awkward situation. And the minister's like, well, how do we bury the tragic circumstances? Do we put it on the final page? And the permanent secretary's like, no. You don't bury the awkward truth in the back pages. You put it on the cover. And he's like, what? It's like, yeah, that's how you get people to ignore it and brush immediately past it. Put it on the cover. Make it the title. And then bullshit for the rest of the pages after brushing past it.
So just to be sure, 68 days, we're going to have a copy of this book because that's when Easter is.
Yeah, give or take.
All right. That sounds good.
I mean, I would hope it will be available for purchase then.
That's even better. I'm just saying, I don't know if you realize Easter was so close.
Oh, yeah.
But that's really good news.
Yeah, like I say, it's good. I'm really happy with where it's at. It just needs a bit of polishing. There's a bit needs adding here and there, more so in the later chapters, less so in the early chapters. It needs a bit of reordering, spell checking, you guys checking it, and then it gets published.
Well, you know what? I think we owe these guys a thank you because we still would have been waiting for a comfy chair.
Probably. Yeah, my wife didn't muck around. She did it a little bit each and every night. You know, she'd get it out and she'd do an hour and then she'd give up, like really late, 10 till 11 p.m. maybe. Sometimes she'd do it till midnight. But she'd bung on a show that she was watching on Netflix called Younger. And it was by coincidence. She just bunged it on one day. She's like, I just need something in the background to distract me when I get bored of it, or be overwhelmed or whatever. So the show that she was watching was about a woman pretending to be 20 years her junior to get a job as an editor in a magazine, or a publicist rather, that was publishing books. So she's doing the work editing my book whilst watching a show about somebody pretending to be a lot younger, working
Nice.
in a place that edits and produces and distributes books. So that's what she was watching while she was doing it. So she's worked little and often, and that's what we've been doing the last couple of nights or 2 or 3 days or however long it's been that we've been doing the read through. And I was quite pleased that it took that long, you know, because I was concerned that, you know, one night, an hour, and then it would be done. You're like, wow, that didn't take long to read. If I'm charging 40 quid for it for the sake of argument, like 39.59 was joked about. It's like, well, that might end up being the price. And if it's 40 quid and it's not reasonably big, you'll feel robbed. You know what I mean? You want it to be reasonably chunky. If you've got a copy of it, a physical copy of it, you want to put it on a coffee table, having read the first third, and then gone, well, got to go to bed now. You want to be able to get that person to want to pick it up again, having not finished it in an evening. You know what I mean? And don't get me wrong, there's going to be people out there that will just read it cover to cover and get it done, bosh, one and done. But for the most part, I want it to be at least, you know, for the most average Joe that reads it, not capable of just being read all the way through immediately. Not that there's anything wrong with that if it was, but you know what I'm getting at. You want it to be substantial.
I don't know. It's the quality, not the quantity, but I understand what you're saying. It's got to at least be a certain amount of pages.
Yeah, it's not, the quality's fine. What it's about is what it's about. It's about housekeeping, right? And as you're reading it, there'll be so much familiarity in what we do, condensed into the paragraphs of each chapter on each housekeeping question, peppered with anecdotal stories about my 10 years in Flat Earth. Obviously, I like those bits best because they're stories about me. But you still want it information rich about the topics that we've covered for the last 10 years, which are mostly globe related. There'll be the extra added salt and pepper of how Earth is required to be flat added now in the process that we're going through now, through the 7th draft. No, it'd be 8th draft? No, 7th, that's right. My wife's just done the 6th. So yeah, 7th draft will have me altering a lot of those chapters to bring them in line with our current rhetoric, if I could say that word correctly. And that's it. You know, there's you just want, like I say, you want it to be good value. And I don't want it to be cheap either. Something that's taken 10 years to achieve in terms of the material that's actually going into it doesn't have to be cheap. You know what I mean? Or at least I don't feel so. I want it to be expensive, as in it's not just some throwaway flat earth book. It's substantive in terms of the information rich, good, as in you want to read more anecdotal information about me and the crazy bonkers people that have been around in this arena for 10 years and some of the crazy stories of things that have happened with them. Because they are interesting. The anecdotes are fascinating in terms of, you know, we were doing A Few Good Men earlier. That's an interesting anecdote. Interesting enough to parody an entire section of a film based on occurrences of measuring angles on ice walls, right? It's anecdotally interesting to read if you're chewing your way through the book. But that's what you want if you've paid good money for it. And that's what I want. I want people to have spent money on it going, you know, well, that's not 10 quid like most throwaway books. That's a fair wedge more. Better be good. And then within the first couple of pages, you're like, yeah, okay, I get it. And then by the third page, you're not concerned that you've spent 40 quid on it. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. I got you.
Yeah. And that was one of the things I was worried about, the way the other book was reading. It was not the other book, but the last edited version. It was reading like
a reference book.
a really bad book.
Book of citations.
Yeah, book of hyperlinks. I mean,
And links to servers and links to freaking whatever. Yeah.
yeah, but the thing that I've liked most, right, yesterday, literally within the last 12 hours, yesterday evening, my wife read the last chapter, which I wrote. It was one of the first chapters I wrote when I started doing them at my art class, Neil. Do you remember when I was sending you these chapters, some sections from them?
Yes.
Well, one of the first ones I wrote was about the debacle with the 5th draft. And there's a certain degree of bitterness and disdain in there that may remain. But do you remember me saying, I'm going to have a really good last chapter? Yeah? Well, I do.
Yes, I remember. Now
the dust has settled and I'm less annoyed and less spitting feathers. My wife read it out and I started to cringe when she started to read it because immediately you get the emotions back when you've written something in an emotional state. You get those feelings come back. And that's what happened as she started to read it. But as she got halfway through, I'm like, this is an excellent chapter. You know, it's really juicy. It's salacious as all frick. And it's just a good end to the book. And sort of the rounding out point is, you know, our current rhetoric, which is we measure Earth flat. Most of it's inconsequential because it's just measured flat. And that's wrapped up in, you know, the betrayal of two editors' so-called friends trying to claim my story is their story. You're like, okay, that is juicy and did and does and will. It's hard to describe it all current tense because I'm doing it, past tense because it's something that's happened, and future tense because you haven't read about it yet. I don't know how you have past, present, future tense, but that's what I'm trying to do when I describe this, because that's what it is. And it's a slightly overwhelming experience. It's good in a very good way, and I'm delighted. It's a very good chapter, and that's the hardest book, right? Hardest part of the book. How do you round it out? How do you end it on a note that you go, that was good, you know? And that's one of my primary concerns with writing a book, full stop. You've got to have a good ending. And if it's a book about factual information, like debating about the nature of Earth, how you believe it's a sphere, how it's measured flat, and some of the crazy anecdotes that have gone along with that process of learning, you think, well, I can get how that would be deeply interesting to somebody involved. But for every man who reads it, picks it up and takes it on a plane with him because he needs something to kill a couple of hours with. You need it to actually have a good ending so that you're satisfied with the book and it's memorable when you finally finish it and you go, oh, you should read this, it's really good. Because that it's really good is normally based on the last couple of paragraphs. The first couple of paragraphs dictate whether or not the person will actually get to the last couple of paragraphs. And you want the information in between to be dense, like good, quality information about a subject that is rich in information and heavy going at points, right? I wanted, and I definitely got this, some of the chapters to not be the easiest to cope with, right? Like you go, bloody hell, this is heavy going. You're like, yeah, it is. You're not wrong. It's going to be mentally challenging for some people to go through some of the chapters as you're having some of the stuff broken down. Like linguistically, I'm pretty good, without blowing my own trumpet too much, at getting these words in a way that is as simple and as concise as I feel I can achieve so that you can understand the point. But it doesn't mean it's easy to comprehend in spite of how concise I can make the words. So there's going to be chapters that I said this previously that you'll have to read through a couple of times. Now that is ideal if you're spending a decent amount of money on it. You're like, man, this is a lot to take in. You're like, yeah, good. That's why it costs money. You know what I mean? That's why it's not a throwaway amount or even free. Because to be able to comprehend this is difficult enough, let alone putting it in a way that doesn't take up 20 pages for one little concept to be understood. You know, I need to get it down to a paragraph so that you can go, bloody hell, I need to put this down at this point. You know, having read about the molten iron core and the derivatives, it's too much to take in. So I'm going to put the book down. I do want to come back to it, though. But bloody hell, this is a bit of a mind fry.
You want to say something, CC?
Am I off now? Yeah, just there's a guy, David Raid, in the chapter of the YouTube chat asking, is there going to be a chapter on Jaren?
Yeah, there's a chapter on Jaren. It's anecdotal. So it's incorporated into the science chapter. So there's a section specifically about Jaren. Now, none of these people will be named. That is to say, by the time the book is... That's something else I'm going to have to do in the 7th draft. Change all the names. So where it will be Jaren, it'll be Turncoat Jesuit or something, you know. I'll give him a new name. I do have a load of names.
I like that one.
You know, I've got...
Sweet.
But you said the book is past, present, and future, the ending. You know what else is a past, present, and future book? Revelation. So you're on the right track there. And it's truthful. It's what happened. So I can't wait. And I know a lot of people can't wait.
Yeah.
It's what is, right?
Yeah, that's fading it.
What is. Anything that is both past, present, and future.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I'm looking through my fake names and I just can't seem to see Jaren. Maybe I haven't given him a name already.
Boy, that Jesuit turncoat is perfect.
It's going to be something Scampanella.
Can't see him.
That's too close, though. People will guess that immediately. But you hit it with a Jesuit turncoat.
You want to hear some of the fake names? Don't guess who they are, okay? Because then I'll have to go and make a new one. So we've got Art Horizon World. Do I need to describe what these people are? I don't mind. I've got in brackets what this person is. So, for instance, Art Horizon World, photorealistic artist. Don't guess who it is. Ernie Duoport, tantric yoga expert. Simon Gherkin, pharmacist. Leslie Triplehorn, transsexual radio host. No, sorry, trans radio host. I read that wrong. Legolas, Satanist podcaster. Quantum Entanglement, camp Scientologist. Bob Nodell, dead, so who cares? We can keep his name. Antonio Subrats, also dead, so who cares? You can use his real name. Nth Man for 10th Man. Ethan Woodley, if I decide that I'm going to rename me in the book. All taken from, or not all taken from, some taken from Globe Earth Dictate. Johnny Bravissimo, Kung Fu Guru. William Hicks, Propaganda Podcast Host. Soviet Vids, Conspiracy Theorist. Julian Flip-Flopper, Globe Earth Turncoat Jesuit. Mark Wise, Flat Earth Jew. Go There and Screw, Random YouTube Talent Podcast Host. David Day, Nighty YouTuber. Simulacra Decode, YouTube videographer. Runt of Flat Earth, Ken Burns Conspiratard. Globe Earth Dickhead, wannabe comedian. Neil Soprano, ex-con gangster FED guest. Pseudoscience Steve. Stan Workst. And that's about it.
I can recognize most of those.
I did have a name for Jaren in there, I just didn't pause. I found it. There you go. So those will have to be incorporated in, so I'll just change everybody's names. There's a couple of people out there that have already heard what they're faking. I say a couple. One, Mark Knight. I told him, I was like, this is what I'm going to write about you. I sent him a section and he gave me a thumbs up, even though it was a little bit derogatory in parts about him and his key rings that he was selling. He still gave me the thumbs up. So, as I say, I haven't skewed any of the information unless it's for the purposes of being more concise, right? I might take a little bit of artistic liberty just to make the story shorter, connect a dot that might have had a couple of other dots in between that I've removed just to get the story out quicker and more concisely. But beyond that, I haven't taken any artistic license with what actually occurred in the case with Mark Knight and him arguing with a fellow YouTube who he was collaborating with extensively at the time about flat earth keyring sales. I just speak about it as it was, it just kind of happened as it happened. And it's indisputable in that regard. Now, it might be that someone says, well, your memory of it isn't quite accurate because it was like this, in which case you're like, well, I'm glad I changed the names because the overall sentiment is just as is, like me talking to Dave Weiss about science and how he just rejected it because at some point he must have recognised how it was incongruent with his rhetoric about using science to prove things that weren't actually proven. Therefore, plausible deniability was required, so he rejected out of hand what was being taught to him in the moment. Well, those facts are just facts. That's how it happened. So when I'm detailing it, somebody could say, that isn't the reason why you're reading between the lines. And you're like, yeah, I am. But I haven't used your real name, so get lost.
Want to say something, Len? And then I'll go.
Yep. What was the blurb for quantum entanglement? Camp something or other? I think he's going to love that.
Camp Scientologist. That's just reminding me who the characters are. So don't assume that that's having anything to do with the person that's having their name changed. It's just the character in the book. I need to remember who Johnny Bravissimo is, so I put in brackets Kung Fu Guru. Simon Checkers. I need to remember that that's a sexy stranger. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I got most of them, but I'm trying to figure out who Neil Soprano is.
That's you. It's Nigel, not Neil.
Yeah, you need to give me the list.
Nigel Soprano.
Who's the Kung Fu Guru?
Johnny Bravissimo.
Kung Fu Guru is. Yeah.
Do you remember the cartoon Johnny Bravo? My favourite. It's one of the few things I can remember from childhood that will just never go away. So the scene is a wide shot of Johnny Bravo, massive that he is. He's got this like triangle shaped body, torso, like top half of him's massive triangle, like to over exaggerate what a man looks like. So this giant triangle sat next to this tiny little stick figure that's a girl that he's out on a date with. And you can see their mouths moving, but you can't hear what they're saying as the camera zooms in from a wide shot. And as it arrives at the table, Johnny Bravo says, well, that's enough about me. Let's stop talking about me. Let's talk about me. What do you think about me?
That's funny.
I love it. Two mics
Was
still
that
haven't turned up.
Cartoon Network?
Go ahead, John.
Hold on.
Go ahead.
I was just going to ask, was Johnny Bravo Cartoon Network, or was he like USA's Cartoon Express?
Cartoon Network.
I can't remember.
He didn't have Cartoon Network. It would have made it to us via either ITV or BBC. I can't remember which. Based on it being a little bit more edgy, I would expect it to have been broadcast to us in Britain on ITV or even Channel 4.
Well, did you hear that Masters of the Universe is coming out with another movie?
He-Man? Masters of the Universe, right, is a cartoon born out of advertising only. So they came up with toys and wanted to sell them. So to sell them, they were like, well, if we produce a cartoon, what we've essentially got is a 20-minute non-stop advert for the toys. So Masters of the Universe, that's He-Man. That's all the cartoons were. They're just trumped up adverts for toys. That's all Masters of the Universe was.
Well, then I'm right on track then, because my brother has been making toys, and I told them, why don't you give them a storyline and make them like a little cartoon? And you're telling me that's how they made Masters of the Universe?
That's like since Masters of the Universe, that's what most cartoons are. They're just glorified adverts for toys.
Yeah, My Little Pony, Cabbage Patch Kids.
I'll send you some pictures.
I watched as a child. G.I. Joe.
My brother's got really good toys, and he's got somebody invested in him. So I'm curious to see where it's going to go. But that's what I was telling him. Just give him a storyline. And he's a writer too. Like he's been trying to break in with screenplays or whatever writers do to try and get their material out there. So I said, then if you're a writer, write a story for them so they'll sell. But I'll see if I can gather up some pictures. He's got a pretty cool idea.
I know that you can break into that industry that seems to have worked for anybody I know is to suffer for 10 years, barely paying your mortgage, and then get a book and have it stolen. Have to painstakingly rewrite it from saved information, and then we'll see where that goes.
Who could that be?
Yeah, that's an epic guideline for success.
Speaking of He-Man, I found out that one of the toys I had as a kid was incredibly rare. So I had a He-Man and Battle Axe, if that's what the cat was, Battle Cat rather, combo pack, right? Which probably cost £2 or £3 from Toys R Us, which I got for a Christmas present. And I loved it. It was great. I played with it. Well, later, many, many, many years later, about 5 years ago, I saw that exact package on a Rare Toys video. It was like, if you've got this in pristine condition in the packaging, it's worth $6,000. I'm like, whoa, I had that. I remember chewing the Battle Cat and eating the sword. Wonderful. Anyway, the basic reason for it being rare was they released this cartoon after the toys. And in the toys, there wasn't obviously any plots to go with it, but they got a vague idea of what the characters were and what they did. And one of the subplots was that the sword, I have the power. That sword that he brings out is just a grey sword. Well, in the original toys that they produced and then eventually or quickly discontinued because they didn't match the plot of the story, they had two swords that linked together, one that was purple and one that was red. And He-Man had the red one and whatever it's called, Skeletor, had the purple one. But that was cut from the theme of the story, so it never made it in terms of what the toys represented. So because this sword was specifically bundled with the He-Man figure when it came with a Battle Cat, they only produced a few hundred of these particular toys. that happened to make it to the shelves of Toys R Us when my folks were looking for toys for me. I liked He-Man, so they just picked it off the shelf and gave it me. Little did they know that that was like, oh no, we need to discontinue that immediately. The cartoon that's actually coming out doesn't have the two different coloured swords, so stop producing that and change it to a different one. Now, I remember showing it to my sister on the video, and she's like, oh, it's such a shame you didn't keep it. I'm like, what are you talking about? Number one, I've got a great story. Number two, I played with that toy. Nothing worse than having a toy that's in its packaging just sat in someone's loft. And then eventually, yeah, I've got this He-Man toy that's worth $6,000. Not going to sell it, though.
Well, here's the thing. My cousin, his father had it covered. Anything new that he thought might be something, he would just buy him doubles of it. Let him play with one, save the other one. Now, did it amount to nothing? No. But it would have if he would eat the Star Wars toys, the original Star Wars toys. But he wound up opening both of them up, so. But they dropped the ball in that movie because what they should have did, this was the 80s. The WWF was freaking on fire. They should have used all wrestlers to play that movie because all the freaking toys were Diesel. Use wrestlers. They would have freaking had great success with that movie.
Well, yeah, that probably would have worked. Hindsight's 20.
And they're all in the Actors Union, right? Every single person that's a wrestler is in the Actors Union.
Have you seen a wrestler act? There's not very many of them that does it well. Roddy Piper was one.
Roddy Piper was great. Hulk Hogan was great. I would have had Hulk Hogan as freaking He-Man. No doubt about it. And he got to have his whole crew with him. And then you get all the freaking heels, the bad guys, and that Skeletor and his crew. I guarantee the movie would have done much better.
He-Man was incredibly woke. Pronouns before pronouns.
Well, remember in the cartoon, like He-Man was like when he was Prince Adam, and Battle Cat was his feline pet. Like that, everybody thought of him as like weaklings and chickens, and Battle Cat was like Scooby-Doo scared, until he pulled out the sword.
Yeah, I didn't have a shot growing up because I was a big Underdog fan. And for Underdog to be anything, you would have to pop a pill. I guess my destiny was sealed.
Just pleased I got to make coffee during that conversation while the live show was running. I love this radio mic. There's no other news to go over. I know you've had a video that we could have covered, but it's 5 minutes to the end of the hour now, so we're not going to cover a video, I'm afraid, whoever provided it. We will cover it tomorrow, hopefully. Time flies, we're only having fun talking about He-Man.
Well, rather than He-Man, did you ever hear what went on the set of that Batman show from the 60s?
I can imagine.
Oh, my goodness.
Were they all incestuous and perverts?
You got to hear the stuff that was going on during the filming of a show that children will watch. But I remember it was very sensual, Catwoman and Batman. But I had the hots for freaking Batgirl.
Oh, yeah. Very good. Didn't we all?
And cartoons, you got to go with the girl from Scooby-Doo, the redhead.
My wife was asking me the other day, what's the difference between Batgirl and Catwoman? I'm like, well, one is a bat, and the other, you can figure out the rest.
One was a villain and one was a superhero. Catwoman was a villain.
One was the freaking, slut in the street. The other one was the one you marry. Come on, let's get Let's get real.
Yeah, Catwoman was the slut in the street, and Batgirl was the one you'd marry, who was prim and proper.
Exactly. But you want her to turn into Catwoman, when well, let's leave it there.
The best Catwoman was the one from Batman Returns, that played opposite Michael Keaton. Forgotten who played
Michelle
that.
Pfeiffer.
Michelle
Beg
Pfeiffer.
to differ. Beg to differ. The newest one with what's her name's daughter?
Nope.
Freaking
No.
what's the girl from Cosby Show and freaking the musician Lenny Kravitz?
Dude.
She was freaking awesome.
No. Hello there, and she knocks out the O and the T and says hell here.
Yeah, that's the one from Batman
Come on.
Returns. So one of my favourite scenes from that movie is where she's whipping the heads off all of the mannequins in the department store. She did that in one take with a real whip.
Pretty good, but I'm talking about that movie. That girl is, well, how could they have a bad looking kid? You're talking Lenny Kravitz and Lisa Bonet. I mean, what are they going to have? An ugly kid? Girl's beautiful.
Yeah, but she's still not Catwoman.
She's not got to be
Sorry.
beautiful. It's not that, what's her name again? Michelle Pfeiffer isn't beautiful. She is, right? But she's edgy. Like you said,
Yeah.
the slut in the street. Well, I'm not saying Michelle Pfeiffer looks like a slut, but she's got that edge to her, the Charlize Theron look about her where, yeah, you're probably a bit dirty. I mean, like literally dirty, like dirt on you. Kind of dirt, you know what I mean? That's what
No
you
doubt.
need. Batman Returns was an absolutely amazing video. It's Tim Burton.
Yeah.
The only thing that beats that movie in my eyes is Batman, The Dark Knight,
Yeah, I'd give
because
you
of
that.
Joker.
Dark Knight Rises with the proper Joker.
Heath Ledger.
Heath Ledger as the Joker, which is the best Joker, easily.
I don't know.
Heath
The one that I
Ledger's-
just
no,
seen
look.
here.
I'm just saying, Heath Ledger's Joker would have Jack Nicholson's Joker in the corner crying, begging for mercy.
Yeah, I agree. And the,
Yeah,
the most recent one, what's the guy with the cleft lip? What's his name? The Joker that was more recent in the
I'm
Joker.
talking about. That's the guy that freaking really did a good job on it. He was what's his name? Phoenix.
Joaquin Phoenix.
Phoenix.
Yeah. Joaquin Phoenix is not as good as Jack Nicholson as the Joker. Jack Nicholson was better than Joaquin Phoenix, and Heath Ledger was the best Joker. Easily.
And Adam West was the best Batman.
Batman
Michael
Returns
Keaton.
is the best.
Nobody
Batman.
beats Michael Keaton. That's
Yeah.
why when Flash came out and he was Batman again, that was pretty cool.
The thing about the Michael Keaton Batman, right, that made the character seem better was that the stiff neck of the suit meant he couldn't turn his head. So he had this kind of robotic ease to everything he did. Now, obviously, it's all choreographed fights, but it made Batman seem like everything was effortless. And it was because Michael Keaton was having to, in a very stiff way, turn his whole body to look at a bad guy, and everything was kind of a bit more forced. But to make that look good, Michael Keaton managed to make Batman look like everything was effortless. Whereas in the more modern ones, you're like, well, it's just a dude in a suit, as opposed to so skilled that everything just happens around him with him still doing it. So I don't know. I like Batman Returns. I think that's the best Batman movie. Close second is Dark Knight Rises. It's got loads of plot holes in it, though. There we go.
Michael
Dark Knight
Keaton is
Rises.
dead.
See, The Dark Knight Rises, Heath Ledger wasn't supposed to die. He was supposed to come back for the third movie and take the place of Scarecrow. He was going to be head of the judge and jury of Gotham. And oh my God, that would have been such a good movie. So
Yeah,
I feel like it was cut short on that.
this is what happens when you make a movie like Brokeback Mountain. He never was able to get over that.
What?
That's a fact.
I don't know about
That's why you freaking
You're
became a
insane.
pill addict and shit. Yeah.
that. Nah.
You're insane.
No.
Just an actor. What are you talking about?
That's the inside scoop. He was never able to get over those freaking scenes. I mean, he's an actor. That don't mean shit.
Okay, if you're picking up this live show live and you're wondering why we're talking about movies, it's because we did a little adaptation at the beginning of the live show. We rehearsed it in the pre-show. A few flat men. That's why. So it is relevant. It is literally on topic. We're not doing after show stuff in the main live show, I promise.
You don't see freaking Sylvester Stallone killing himself. He's freaking Rocky.
Adrian!
Ain't kissing no man.
Are you talking about the Italian stallion porn star?
Doesn't matter. He didn't kiss no man and wound up freaking weighing on him his whole life.
Yeah, but he literally did porn because he was broke.
Yeah, that's not even true. You can't validate that. That's a lookalike.
Right, let's round out this live show. On that note, I'll say if you're watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley premiering streams, then stay tuned as there will be an after show to follow.
Story going around.
Well, yeah, I mean, it could be. I don't know. I'm speaking about something I have no clue about. I didn't know Heath Ledger. I don't know these people. They're idols that, dominate the Black Mirror in my house. That's all I know.
Was that a flat earth show?
What, Black Mirror?
No, the whole show we just did.
No.
Yeah,
Oh,
definitely.
Okay.
We went through a few flat men at the beginning of the show. I read out flat earth poetry.
And just because it said the word flat don't mean it's a flat earth show. Just because it's level and flat doesn't mean it's flat.
That was absolutely, without question, a great flat earth show.
Yeah, it's plain to see.
It's plain to see. That is funny when they say that, though. Just because it's flat doesn't mean it's flat.
we should remind the rest of the world that we control the horizontal and vertical. Full outer limits for you.
Yeah, we're the ones dictating the axiomatic principles that are just in reality.
Well, I mean, in a globetrot's world, horizontal and vertical can't exist. Such concepts are just impossible. If lived on a globe, that would not exist. So, in a way, we do control the horizontal and the vertical.
John, do you realize how big Earth is, John?
Yes. And every bit of it's flat.
Yeah, the mere existence of level demonstrates that the Earth is flat before you even get into measurement.
Well, no, level is measured. Level is always measured. Level is a measurement. It's an angle measurement. You're looking for 0 degrees across the plane.
Oh, yeah. It's just that it even being in existence demonstrates demonstrates that the Earth is flat.
Well, yeah.
On screen on my TV just now, they had a shoreline, and it's not, out to sea curvature. It's a shot on the side. But as I'm looking at it, you can see as it gets really far in the distance, it looks like it's slightly curving down. And that's what they'll pick up on. But look, it's curving. Look
curving
at the
down?
very end.
When
The
you look at what it's curving down,
let me get a picture of it. Give me 2 minutes.
What's down
And
again?
Curving to what now?
Well, not looking down, looking
I've been
across. Looking
in a
across.
really flat spot of the world. And
Hold on. Hear me out. You're standing on the beach, right? You got hotels behind you. Now you turn to the left and you're looking down the shoreline or across the shore, across the beach, but on from right to left. Let me take a picture of it and I'll send it to you.
yeah, I know what you're talking about. You're talking about like when they use ray tracing to take you out of the frame of reference to then use multivariate planes of reference to create a curvature? Or are you talking about when things go into the distance, they seem to warp? The horizon is still a flat plane and all that.
Yeah, what do you got there, Neil? The horizontal distance that requires our flat Earth measurements, or the straight angle that's requiring our flat Earth?
Whereas this image of curvature I've heard so much about, Neil, where is it?
Do tell, young man, do tell.
It's in Master B now. See if it came up. I took it from my TV, so I don't know how it's gonna look.
Okay, there's the left to right, there's the flat plane. Okay. And then what are you talking about?
As you go all the way as far as you can see, it looks like it's starting to curve.
Then, see, that's the thing. You're not looking at it in reality, right? Like you're going to third person to look at it, how someone else looks at the horizon. You can't do that. You know?
Actually, when you zoom it in, it doesn't. It's flat all the way. Like I just zoomed it all the way in. I mean, if anything, it just demonstrates how flat Earth is. Amazing shot. There's no way you could go to the shore and just look around and not see the obvious. I mean, you wouldn't be able to build any of these hotels on this. I mean, it has to be flat. Get all of these hotels built.
What you do, right, is you take your first person view and then you put it in third person, right? You then take the multivariant plane, and the distance to the horizon seems to increase as you raise an altitude, and that creates an arc. You place that arc at the end of the plane of reference, your first plane of reference, and end it at your secondary plane reference, the one where you reach your max elevation. Then you zoom the camera out and say, see, flat earther, there's your curvature.
Yeah, I still don't see it. I see all flat. I zoomed as far as I could zoom in.
Well, you're never going to do ray tracing, buddy.
But that's what my wife says sometimes. But look, if you're like we're driving over a bridge, you can see it's like, look, it looks like it curves. I'm like, where?
She's talking about where things seem to disappear into the distance as they begin to warp because your ability to resolve that information is failing. Is that where
Right.
she's talking about the curvature
Right.
existing?
Exactly. And I'm like, and if that's the case, then we live on a small planet, honey. If it's curving right there, then you got problems.
You're talking about planet Orleans Parish or whatever Huey called
That's
it.
correct. Planet Orleans.
Yeah, that's the thing though. Like the plane of reference was in that picture as well. It ran left to right through the screen. You know what I mean?
Yep.
They were talking about going away from the observer, which would be is that x-axis? Yeah, x-axis. Being flat all the way up to a point and then starting to curve at that point. But we used to make fun of Arwen for it, but he would talk about the curve function collapse, or not curve function collapse.
Wave
You
function.
know what I'm talking about?
Right, wave function collapse.
It's kind of like the basic same idea, but he's talking about like a curve function where it starts instead of collapsing. So like it's flat all the way out to there, and then it starts to curve. You know what I mean? Like that was his little punchline to it. You know. I guess you call it the plane function collapse. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he came in the other day and finally Nathan had to tell him to shut up. He was like, all right, then, I'll leave. Deal with ballers then. Well, I forgot what he said, but
Ballers are easier to deal with than he is.
I forgot what he said. I don't even remember what he was saying. It was a bunch of nonsense. And he just kept going on and on and on.
I mean, really, if anything, the ballers should pay him to write their rhetoric for him, because he can make it so confusing that nobody even try to understand it.
Yeah, he constantly pats himself on the back for the what's that thing he said? Um the assumption bias. The
That was an
celestial
affirmation
assumption
bias.
bias.
Yeah, affirmation bias for an elevation angle.
No, he calls it the assumption of
Physical
physical assumption bias. Yeah, but that's not physical because they are physical. You can't tell me those things that we're looking at are not physical. They're not tangible, but they're physical.
Right. Physical is defined by what you can perceive with the senses. That's how,
And last I saw,
natural
that sight was a
phenomenon.
sense.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why they have an inroad to the scientific method, but the independent variable kind of kills them,
Right.
ballers,
So
I guess.
so really, it's tangible assumption bias is the proper way it should be phrased.
Yes. To say physical assumption bias to somebody who knows what physical means is, I don't know. It's mind numbing.
Hmm.
You're assuming you see that thing that I also see. What?
Exactly. We all see it. So what are you saying? I'm assuming that I'm seeing it with my physical eyes in the physical sky, this physical object.
Yeah. Just calculate the rainbow, baby. And
I mean,
see, it's the thing. I don't think anybody would assert that a rainbow's not physical, but you'll never
Yes.
get to the end. You'll never get to the end of a rainbow. Why do they assume the stars are physical and have a, fixed position? I don't get it.
Well, one thing is for sure. When you stand back and you look at the heavens and you realize what's going on, it's like breathtaking, really. Like, how is this sun moving? you know? Like, you know what we're talking about here? The wisdom in creating this place where we live. I mean, it's off the charts. I guess I'm like Mario looking around the game right now saying, wow, this is amazing.
Yeah, but Mario has the same chance of comprehending how the game exists as we do
That's right.
comprehending our own existence.
That's
But
correct.
people are scared by that because it doesn't offer them answers. And so, some people would rather believe something that's wrong than accept that they don't know anything about it.
Or they'll make up something that they feel is correct, like electromagnetism or freaking what else do they say that causes the sun and the moon to turn?
Toroidal fields I've got as well.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's what it is. I mean, why would you say that? How can you validate that? You can't validate that. What are you talking about? Well, we got to give an answer for what they say. Well, who's they and what do they say these days? What's their answer for the sun's movements? Oh, it's not moving. The Earth is.
Well, they say the sun's moving, but it's moving around the the galactic center.
Right.
Which that plane of reference, that's why galaxies are always portrayed as black,
Yeah, let it be. You don't know, you don't know. Instead of making up so stories to replace so stories.
Well, that's what Whitson wants to do. He doesn't want to. He feels like us just talking about measurements is it's a waste of time. How long can you talk about elevation angles? I want to discover what's out there. I want to discover this ether and the power that it yields.
You don't make discoveries by making stuff up. Is he high?
Yeah, he is. But listen, he's still punting that stuff. Nicholson, Morley, ether, Sagnac, toroidal fields, electromagnetism, pretty much everything that Jabba the Hutt
He don't even know
does.
why. He has no idea what electromagnetism is. How's he teaching people that?
Well, you pretty much just go to that what's that guy's name again? Not Heavy
Jabba the Hutt
Side.
guy,
Yeah, what's his name again?
Ken Wheeler.
Ken Wheeler and Oliver Heavyside.
Bob Nodell.
Heavy side, like everybody does, like jumps to heavy side. And, heavy side's calculations were great when you're like making a motor. You make certain assumptions about it, and it gives you the ability to calculate, like a lot of things about that motor. But it's all based on electrons moving with respect to the baseline, whether they're flowing in one direction or alternating their current and going one way and then back the other. It's not a friggin' wave.
Right. No, you need that baseline. That's how you can tell the movements. What are they moving to? Like, how can you tell anything? Right? Without that horizontal baseline to give reference to.
But no, it's not a horizontal baseline in electricity. It's just a point of reference. The baseline is completely conceptual. It's a fixed point through time, and that gives you your baseline. And that fixed point through time, the electron's relative position to it is what you're mapping when you measure each, position with respect to that point.
Yeah, but it's still a baseline.
But yeah, it's still a baseline, but it's just not horizontal.
That's a crazy thing to electricity. And we pull that from the earth. Who freaking came up with that?
I think God did when he made lightning.
Yeah, but how did they come up with freaking channeling it to the point where we use it in our house by just flicking on a switch or plugging in something?
Well, some people figured out that between when things are in motion, especially conductors, when they're moved through a magnetic field, will build up a greater potential where the metal is moving, and that potential will move outwards to ground, wherever that may be, so that it can disperse, because everything's looking for equilibrium.
Everything's seeking equilibrium.
Rocks, Nathan.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you can achieve equilibrium completely because of the amount of energy that is in the system we exist within. And we have something like the sun, which seems to be introducing energy into this system. I have no idea how this world works, man.
So basically, if you think about it, though, we're using it compared to God, it's like we're using it at a primitive level, right? You understand what I'm saying?
What are you saying?
How we utilize it is probably primitive to what it really has the potential to be, right? Talking about having a freaking a place where the sun is not the source of power anymore, and it doesn't give off its light anymore because the lamb is the light, or there's no need for the sun.
Yeah, I think the guy that wrote Lord of the Rings talked about two trees doing it too. But I don't know. I wouldn't call it primitive, our understanding of it. You know, we run our homes on it, and we've made it.
No, I'm talking about compared to gods. Compared to God,
not
the
fair.
creator.
Not fair. Not fair. You can't compare
Well,
that
I'm just
to
saying,
God.
it's like, listen, it's like we make something and you got a little infant playing with it. He doesn't even know what he's playing with, but he's playing with it when you say, hey, this is how it goes. You go and you help the little toddler out. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, that's not a fair analogy still.
Well, you want to give man more credit? Okay. It is amazing how we did all these things.
Well,
When I say we, I mean man. How are they able to figure things out and just have electricity flowing to everybody's house? Like, that damn plumbing is amazing too, then.
no,
Think
I'm
about
saying that we
that.
don't have a frame of reference to call what we know of electricity primitive because, you know, you can't use God as a frame of reference because you don't know, you know what I mean? We could be at
that's
the
who
end
I'm
of our
using.
understanding of electricity.
That's who I'm using because he's the creator and we're here on his earth and we're just discovering things and we're probably still at the primitive form of
You
electricity.
can't call it primitive then. You can't call it
Well,
primitive then.
we're not at the advanced. Well, give me a better word for primitive.
Um, I don't know. Like the way you're talking
Beginning
about it, there's just no way
stages.
to. No.
Let's say we're in the freaking beginning stages of what electricity even is.
Well, we know a lot about it. We know how to cause it.
Now, where's it
We
come
know
from?
how a potential existing between 2 points in time.
Potential existence between 2 points in time. You sound like freaking Witsit now.
No,
Simple, basic, undeveloped.
see, we don't have the frame of reference to even describe it like that because the only civilization we know of is our civilization that utilizes it the way that we do. It's like, so we have to be the advanced form of it.
Yeah, we are. Man is advanced. Man rules. I'm saying God is looking down and saying that we're not using it to the fullest. That's all I'm trying to say. I don't know why you're making this difficult. We're
There
not
you go. Maybe
God.
that's possible. I don't know. Right. Maybe that, yeah. But I wouldn't call us primitive in our understanding of it.
Primitive to him.
Look, Neil, we will never, ever be anything but primitive to him. The most dangerous man in the world who will ever exist will not be in any way
That's my point.
dangerous to God. So
Yeah, that's my point. We're looking at things like
it's unfair
a
to
toddler
compare.
crawling around.
No, it's unfair to compare. This is all it is.
Of course, it's unfair. I never said it was fair. It's what it is. But he did make us in his likeness and in his image. That's why we're little creators. Right? That's why we figure things out like electricity. Plumbing, heating, air conditioning, right?
You know, it's interesting. The basic components of the motor as we know it today, before we discovered bacteria's flagellum, utilized the same component parts, like the most, like when you reduce it down to its simplest form and it still operate as a motor. Bacteria had that motor within them prior, you know, we didn't know that when we developed the motor, right? But we discovered it after we developed the motor. That's interesting.
I just seen like you can buy this real it's like a mini I think V6 model type thing where it works. Like I seen it on a commercial. Like you could put it together, and it's a working engine. See if I can find it.
Yeah, I think there's like 5 component parts to a motor, a stator, a rotor. I haven't gone to school in forever. Leave me alone. But that's the irreducible complexity argument that you hear going around in the evolutionary debates or whatever that is. You know,
Yeah.
people who want to argue against the undefined thing that is evolution bring up irreducible complexity because you'll never get genetic what do you call it? Genetic mutations that will give you a working motor, basically.
Well, this one you have it's a mini V8 engine model kit that runs 1/6 of scale. So it comes in like this box, and like I seen like a YouTube commercial for it. I was like, I've been waiting for this. He opened it up and he's demonstrating how he put it together, and pretty cool.
Well, have you seen the rod and spring generator that only takes a hand crank to start, and then it uses the inertia of the moving parts to keep the generator working to where it doesn't require gas or anything else?
No. What is that?
You just
What
have
is
to
that?
crank it up. I have to find it. I'll send it to you. But yeah, you have to crank it up, right? And it uses gears and pulleys to get the springs taut. But upon release, the inertia of the rods in one direction pulls the reverse springs out, and it creates this what do you call that? It's almost a like a perpetual energy
It on
machine.
tension?
Yeah, tension and inertia. I will say that is the claim, and I have seen someone on I think it was TikTok operate one. I have never looked at it myself, and I don't know how for sure it works the way they say it does. But it looked really interesting because it puts out enough electricity that it's comparable to like a basic generator you'd have on a job site for people to work on stuff with.
Right. Any of you guys familiar with a place in England called Cragside? I know it's mainly Americans in the panel at the moment.
Yeah, I was there last week.
Cragside, it's this place in Northumberland I went to a couple of years ago. It's a magnificent property that's been added to. It's quite palatial, and the owner had royalty staying there and all that kind of stuff. But that was the first house in the world to utilize hydroelectric to power all the lights. The guy, when he was building it, built loads of lakes and used the water power to power sawmills and all kinds of stuff. He had hydroelectric bloody dumbwaiters, rotisseries, an early conception of the washing machine, all this kind of stuff in the 1870s. It's quite a marvelous property.
Get out of here. 1870s? That's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, the Romans were using water over vast distances. The aquifers and aqueducts that they built. Like they've done some pretty amazing stuff with water too.
One comes to the UK on holidays, Northumberland's fantastic. There's all the Harry Potter kind of shite if you're into that up in that area, but Craigside's a must see.
They said that the Egyptians had running water and air conditioning.
Air conditioning, you say?
Yeah.
Really? Who said that?
Not who was saying that. I heard that a while ago. I knew about the running water, but I didn't know about the air conditioning. My brother was telling me it was a very primitive form. But yeah, they did have some sort of cooling.
Oh, I get it. Those fans that they would carry and wave back and forth with their hands. Is that what you're talking about?
No, but that's why most of in those hot countries you got stone, right? You got stone everywhere.
What?
Marble floors, right? All of that stuff helps keep it cool. Let me see if I can find the primitive Egyptian air conditioning. It was sort of like, because they didn't have ice back then, right? There's no way you could tell me they were making ice. Or were they?
This is your claim, buddy. Don't ask me to help you with this crap.
Who knows? They might have had
Hey,
ice
guys.
cubes. Elijah knows. Elijah, did the Egyptians have ice?
Did they have ice?
Yeah.
Like the government arm for the immigrants? I don't know,
Pretty
bro.
good.
Like
I like that.
I don't know if that maybe. Why? I mean, ISIS. I don't know.
What he's asking is, did they have refrigerators?
I know, because that's what my brain went. I'm like, how would they have iced anything? I don't know. Maybe. Did they have refrigerators? They had temples and shit. Huge generators, and I don't know if I believe that stuff. That's just what
So you're telling me they had freaking pyramids that nobody could figure out, and you don't think they had ice and air conditioning and running water? Okay.
I could build one. I could build that pyramid.
That's what I'm
Absolutely.
saying. That's what I'm saying. The narrative, like that's what I was being facetious about. Like the narrative of these ancient things that humans couldn't possibly replicate with the tools that they had back then. How do you know? How do you know what they had back then? How do you know what they really did?
I could do it, but with the tools they had back then, and recreate it the same way that they built it.
But also, like I mean, we don't know if they're really that awesome or not. They could be if people took an aerial view of the projects and I don't know, posted pictures and paintings of that 200 years from now, they'd be like, how the fuck did they do that? Hundreds of people lived in there together? What? There was a plumbing system? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, whatever. I don't know.
Right.
Let me give you what I got on it.
The way they cut the stone, they found the tools next to an incomplete obelisk, right? And the obelisk is the same stone that they made the pyramids out of. What they did is they took sand and copper flat-bladed tools, right? They didn't have no teeth on them. They would pour sand over the area they wanted to cut, and the sand became the teeth of the saw. And that's how they cut the stone.
All right, listen to this.
Just using sand as an abrasive.
Hold on, listen to this. Ancient Egyptians did not have running water or modern ice in the way we do today. but they developed sophisticated engineering to manipulate water and utilize natural cooling processes. While Egyptians' climate is hot, they use scientific principles to produce small amounts of ice and keep things cool. There was even pseudoscientists back then, huh?
So small amounts of ice means ice.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
know
then
what else.
they go on to say radiative cooling. On clear desert nights, Egyptians could create thin layers of ice by placing shallow, porous clay trays of water on beds of straw. Heat would radiate away from the water into the cold night sky, causing it to freeze, even if the air temperatures were slightly above freezing. That's pretty cool.
Right. So it'd have to get really cold outside to make ice. Are they really, 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 really refrigerating it?
Heat would radiate away from the water into the cold night sky, John, causing it to freeze, even if the air temperature was
Yeah.
slightly above freezing, John.
Yes. Yes.
Now, here's the storage
And-
part. This made ice was a rare luxury for the wealthy and was stored in insulated underground chambers. Huh? The underground chambers, John.
Right. But they couldn't build a pyramid. Come on, dude.
The ancient Egyptians did not have pressurized indoor plumbing, but they were masters of hydraulic engineering.
Yes.
Listen to this. Water-powered lifting. Recent research suggests they may have even used water-powered systems like hydraulic elevators to lift heavy stones during pyramid construction. Who's coming up with this crap?
And they're making it up, talking about they may have used. I wanted to actually ask Nathan to repeat his spiel about the magic trick for my girlfriend who's available right now.
Which one?
Which magic trick or which girlfriend?
Whatever. I have one girlfriend, man. That's
Yes, one
shit.
girlfriend currently.
He knows it was a joke.
So I have I was talking to her about all the things that I've said about COVID. I said, however, at the time, trying to say these things, a lot of groups got shut down. I would get warnings that my account would be suspended if I posted certain things or said certain misinformation or whatever, only for them to come out about it a year later. And I said, well, that's because the magic trick is over. But I kind of wanted you to kind of explain what the magic trick is. Like,
Yeah, you mean
in
like
context.
If you're in the theatre at the moment that the woman's having her body sawn in half, if you're in the crowd and stand up and go, there's two women, there's one in each box, they're just curled up very tightly in each side, then you'll be ejected from the theatre and told never to return. Now, that's not to say that after the stage show is finished and you've walked out of the theatre, you can't say to the person on the way out, there was 2 women, no one's going to bat an eyelid because the magic trick's already happened and the gasps have already happened. Also, it's not to say that an act like Penn and Teller can't come along 6 months later and literally show you as part of their show how there's 2 women in the box. That's also tolerable if it's part of their show. Just don't interfere with the magic trick as the magic trick's being performed. So in the case of COVID, don't talk about it being a cold while we're telling you that there's an invisible boogeyman that's going to kill you. We'll take your channel off you. Now, once it's all done and dusted, we can humiliate you with having fell for it like everyone around you didn't. After the fact. After we've got you to fall for it. But if you haven't fallen for it, we want everyone in this moment to fall for it. So don't tell them it's a trick. We want to tell them it's a trick and make them feel stupid later.
Yeah. Basically. Excellent. Well put. Thank you, Nick. You're never going to tell the truth at the time the truth needs to be told. Because someone's going to punch you in the mouth.
Yeah, but you can laugh at them 6 months later when you go, did you really believe me when I said that? When I said there was an invisible boogeyman, you believed me? What an idiot. Then you can lord it over them for believing you. You get to have your cake and eat it twice.
So, like during the Apollo missions, anyone who spoke out against NASA in the media was blacklisted more than likely, right?
Yeah. If anybody would have been like a news anchor going, you don't really believe this, fire him immediately, make it quiet.
I mean, there is a reason they built this extravagant form of communication that spans the world. I mean, you control the information, you know.
Control the information to control the people.
So what was today's live show about? Creighton? Satan.
About acting. It's more of a thespian reading, really, than anything. Ain't that right, Neil?
Why is everybody quiet? Are we done?
Well, now that you said that, Nathan's probably going to end the show.
That's what I'm saying. Why are you so quiet? What's going on with Discord?
Well, I was waiting on Neil to back me up, but he's not going to do that.
Well, there's a lot of stuff to talk about, man. Like we're still in the middle of the resurgence of people arguing about what science is. Like, this conversation has moved over to all of the platforms. Not all of the platforms, all of the Discords that I know of.
How many people have you run into that actually know what it is?
Well, Matrix knew what it was.
Well, you got one.
No, there were a few others.
So 4?
No.
Not a good sign, is it?
Not a great sign.
Flat Earthers with a show or putting things out, how many people actually comprehend it?
There's a quick way to tell if they know. ask them if they know what science proves the Earth is either flat or a sphere. And if they give you anything other than you're an idiot, then yeah, they're compromised.
Yeah, then they're showing you their hands right there. It's like saying scientific evidence for your globe, and they still fall for it.
Yeah, it's a category error, and you're exposed.
Yeah, they go on till it's about 5 or 6, and they keep going even when you tell them you're in a category error. They keep going.
Do you know how many flat Earth measurements they calculate into sphericity? I mean, they can tell you about
8,
that for
9, 10.
It's nonstop. I mean, every time they supposedly discover something new in heliocentrism, it relates back to the flat Earth measurement they took.
Yeah, there's no getting away from it. It's just reality.
Like when I found that NASA video where all they did was detail measurements from the plane of reference and how that relates to every single element of orbital mechanics, I was horrified at first. Like, there's no way it's this friggin' blatant and people are missing it. But I guess the shocks wore off for me,
I remember that when you came with that. I remember that discovery. I remember it very well.
Yeah, they introduced the 7 elements of orbital mechanics. And we looked at each of them. They all had a plane of reference. Even their time element, the way they described it was with respect to the plane of reference, And then they said there was 3 of was it Keplerian elements, and they also related back to a flat Earth measurement. And you know what? It really makes me mad though, is they didn't have no tramp stamp on that video where it said that was a scientifically disproven blah blah blah. Obviously, we're idiots for writing this the way we did. They didn't have no tramp stamp on that video telling everybody they're measuring Earth flat.
No, measuring Earth flat because you measure Earth flat for navigation won't get you a tramp stamp. Measuring Earth flat because you measure Earth flat to create an orbital motion won't get you a tramp stamp. Measuring Earth flat because you say Earth's flat, that'll get you a tramp stamp.
To measure is a synonym for to know. So if you know Earth's flat, to calculate orbital mechanics is fine. To know Earth's flat is not okay.
Yeah.
Seems a bit hypocritical to me. But what I know.
Yeah.
You measured Earth flat with elevation angles, and you doctored the log with half a sign.
You're writing scripts.
I think Neil's right about that. Yeah, I think Neil's right about that. Your character doesn't need to do that. Like to get the Jack Nicholson character angry, because he's just thinking the same spice without it.
Yeah, he was hitting all the spots. That's why he did get angry. But it started when those witnesses came in. You see him measured up on his seat. This
Well, it
is
really started
ridiculous.
when-
Check the log books. We'll get to the log books.
Well,
He says
started
we'll get to
when
the
he,
airman in a second. Lieutenant or whatever he is. Colonel. We'll get to the airman in a minute. He says check the logbooks. He says we'll get to the airman in a minute.
Yes.
Yeah, the thing though is like that 3-part question he asked is what really like started the descent when he got him in that logical conundrum where all 3 statements couldn't be true because they were contradicting themselves.
Yeah, why did he have to be moved?
So you're saying you measure Earth as a sphere? Yes. But then you apply Haversine, transformative equation. Yes. Well, why would you need to apply Haversine if you measured it as a sphere?
That's it. That's the theme.
Yeah, you
If
just have
Santiago wasn't in any danger,
measurements.
then why did he have to be moved? The base.
I don't know. What you got there is fine, Nathan. We're just being overly critical because we never agree on anything.
I did my job. I'd do it again.
About the Few Good Men skit.
That's correct.
Yeah, I got that message earlier on, Nathan. It will be doable. I haven't done anything quite like that yet. From the method I've been using, I've been turning like static images or reference images into little videos. Within that, certain AI models can put text in there, but it just gives you a random voice. There are other ways you can clone people's voices and do the lip syncing to things, but it's going to be a whole thing. I'll have to have a little bit look into how to do it.
Could you take
I'm game for the
existing
challenge.
audio? Could you take existing audio and just change it to the characters' voices? Like if you had people give the reading of it.
I know what you're
Just turn
saying
their
there, John.
voice.
Yeah. So it just changes the tone of voice and whatnot to theirs. I'm not entirely sure about that, but I will look into it after this show. Well, would you want everything like created or just like faces put on the original scenes?
Well, I mean, as far as the lip syncing thing goes, like you would want to keep the scenes exactly as they were, right? You just want to change their mouth movement slightly to where it, you know what I mean?
Yeah. But like what I'm getting at is like if I just use the actual bit from the movie and superimpose the faces of characters on, would I still have them in like the military uniforms and all this kind of stuff, or would I have MC2 and his stupid blue bloody puffer jacket in that?
That's a good question.
Yeah, I don't know how to answer that one because you'd want it to be military, right? Still, I don't know. Ask Nathan.
Well, yeah, it says Colonel in it, so it would be military. I would say just keep the original characters and maybe change Tom Cruise's voice to Nathan's. But it's got to be Jack Nicholson's voice. Like you can't mix a nerd with Jack Nicholson and get anything worthy of that skit.
Am I being charged? I'm being charged. Or did he say, am I being arrested? I gotta watch it again.
He said he was going to tear his head off and poop down his neck or something along those lines.
This is the Wolverine.
As for a project, I think it'll be a little trickier than coming up with the clips that made the intro. It'll be a bit more of a process than that, but I'm still game.
It'll probably be the most complicated one that you've ever done. It would be. I think it would go viral though. It's got that just enough of, especially when you got Simon Dan at the end of it declaring that the Earth's still a sphere. You know, like you got to get that in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I kept that in because it's in keeping with the theme of the movie. So the theme of the movie is even when you win, you don't win. So it's a court-martial as opposed to like your regular court. But the overarching ending is to say, even though the Tom Cruise character won, he gets the hostile witness to admit he's ordered the code red. The two Marines who are on actual trial, because he's not the prosecutor, is he? He's the defence. I got that wrong. He's defence for the two soldiers that actually did the code red, but they still get in trouble. It didn't matter that he got the guy to confess. They're still dishonourably discharged. They still did the wrong thing. It didn't matter that they were following orders. None of that mattered. They still left their jobs dishonourably, didn't they?
Yep. You know, they got the same sentence in the end.
Yep.
That they were offered in the very beginning.
Yep, that's correct. It made no
but
difference.
they didn't have to do the 6-month jail time.
But who won?
They did. That's how long the court case lasted.
Right.
Oh, so they said it was time served. Yeah.
Yes, they did exactly the same amount of time. So nobody wins except one person. Who won? There was one winner.
Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise got his steak knives.
Well, Santiago got some justice, right?
No, he was dead.
Well, his family. His Aunt Jenny was there.
No, the Marines lost a critical component of the defense of Guantanamo Bay.
Damn straight they did. That's the guy you want on that wall. I'm sorry. I agreed with the whole thing. I was with the colonel on that. I don't want to hear that wishy-washy shit. We were supposed to protect Santiago. No, you weren't, damn it. That guy's a Marine. He joined the frickin' Marines. He's the guy that's going to be on that wall keeping us safe here. So I agree with everything the colonel said. You just weakened the nation, son. I'm not your son, and you're under arrest, you son of a bitch. I like after he lunges at him and they're holding him back when he gets his composure. Like
I think
the tire.
random. I think Brian did really well yesterday.
Brian who?
Brian's logic.
I have no idea. What did he do?
He was in Earth Awakenings yesterday, having one of those one-on-ones with Bev. Try thinking.
Yeah, I figured that would happen. He's going to start getting bored because all he has is whenever QE does a show. I figured he was going to start going into Discord. I sent him a line the other day.
Well, I mean, his problem's never been with Discord necessarily. It's been with wasting time, and if it was a situation where you couldn't really communicate, what's the whole point? But with the way that they set it up, I guess Adam went in there and also had a conversation. So it was like, well, you know, if you are going to have moderation or at least, you know, some kind of order, and I can do what I have to do to get the message out there. Why not?
What
And
message are
again,
they getting out there?
the same message we've been putting out there in the face of people who just don't want to accept the bare bones facts.
Yeah, I don't take it personally. I have nothing against what you're saying, but I couldn't give a shit what they do. That's just me, though.
I know, but
Flat measurement
I can't afford that.
was flat a measurement or a description?
A measurement.
Description to Brian. I better check again, Eli.
Yeah, no, that's
Well, I mean, because the important thing is what they were talking about, not whatever gripe y'all have with him, right? And from what I was listening to was, I mean, he basically kept it on, well, this is a measurement. I don't know what you're talking about. It was hard to understand because I came in the middle of it, and all I know is that Bev didn't make any sense. Straight up.
Does Beth ever make any sense?
Bev started talking about north, south, east, west being cardinal directions. Aren't they perpendicular to each other? And Brian's was like, he gave the appropriate response, and I'm like, yeah, these idiots run around saying these things, bastardizing, our claims, and then responding in a negative way while poisoning the well. And somebody needs to be out there saying, actually, no, that's quite ridiculous, with a calm head, with a calm tone. And just, I feel like that's what he did. That's something that I've wanted Brian to do in all this time, but it always seems like he's gotten emotional in the middle of the conversation. And it's like, it's just something that, like, style wise, I would go, I don't want that. Yesterday I was like, yeah, that's exactly how you fucking
What
nailed it.
claims do we make anyway?
That's the point. That's the point. He's sitting here saying that, FED makes these fallacies and don't you make these fallacies? And it's like, what fallacies?
Oh yeah,
Only
they think measurements are fallacy, don't they?
You've stereotyped me. You've reified. Those are the only fallacies that I'm. I'm like, yo, this is so smooth. This is so good.
Yeah, yesterday I went to I went to Earth Awakenings. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just saying, I simply can't afford to let my personal feelings get in the way of what I personally think the Lord wants, which is truth. Every time somebody comes in to cry over the truth, it's like I just want to mop it up because I don't care. I don't care. I don't care how you feel about me. I don't care how I feel about you. The moment I see that there's a crack in a wall somewhere that the water of truth can seep through, that's what I'm focused on. Everybody's talking, oh my God.
Hold on. That's great. That's great. I agree 100%. That's why when I brought that up and seeing if that was going one of the directions they went with it, is because measurement is a description.
Okay.
You get the joke now. I wasn't being mean to Brian.
Yeah.
I am. He can kiss my ass.
Yeah, yesterday when I went into Earth Awakenings, it was frustrating because I wasn't even going to say nothing. I just was there to listen because I was doing some stuff. But the more I listened to PhD Tony and to Vanek, just straight out just spread lies. At this point, they're just lying because, or should I say, they're just repeating the lies, and they truly believe that it's the truth. But I'm tired of hearing them say every time they say, "Oh, we have reciprocal zenith angles." Like by definition, but like literally just logically speaking, in math, in classroom setting, by definition, it's 180 degrees. That's it. Anything greater than that, it's no longer a reciprocal zenith angle. And I'm tired of hearing them repeat that lie to try to, in their argument, they try to like tickle the ears of people who don't know what the hell, that even means or what that represents.
What argument?
But in their argument, they're going to say we have greater than 180, and that's how we know it's curving because two people took two angles. I'm tired of them doing that. So I came off of mute and I came in hot and I was yelling. I was like mad. I was like, you guys are just completely lying to the crowd. And it now frustrates me. It like I feel like I have a zeal, right? Is that what's called? Yeah, a zeal, right? Like when you're like angry for the truth, like you a passion. When you hear a lie and you want to just be like, no, that person's lying. I want to call them out on it. But yeah, I went in there. And then I rage quit. I had to leave. I was like, I had enough, man. This is getting myself worked up over
No,
now.
just to affirm what he said. Hold on, just one sec. I completely agree. That's why Zanuck got banned, right? He's one of the few people that I've said he can't come back because he's a liar. Like, he'll be corrected. He'll demonstrate an understanding of the correction. He'll affirm it to your face. And then the following day, he'll just repeat the old rhetoric that's incorrect, that he knows is wrong, aka a known liar. At which point you're like, you're poison to my audience. It's one thing to think that you're correct and be wrong, but it's another to understand, accept, and reiterate back to the person correcting you the correction just to repeat the lie again the next day. That's a totally different ballgame. And that was Zanuck all
You know
over
what's funny? The funny thing is, a zenith is when you measure an elevation angle of 90 degrees.
So it's a contradiction in terms. Reciprocating zenith angles is a contradiction in terms. Like zenith, at 90 degrees to the surface? So somewhere else is 90 degrees to the surface. It's not going to be how they're describing reciprocating zenith angles with respect to a sphere. The way that it works in terms of their derivation of that concept is to take their position from the centre of hell and describe the angles measured through the ball as though they are the zenith points. They're not. That's a lie also. Something Zanuck's aware of.
Exactly. And you know what, too? And the frustrating thing about Zanuck is he will then, like, just boldly, like, he has the audacity to be like, well, let me correct you because you have it all wrong. And I'm like, no, like, it's just like you said, he's just a flat out liar. And for the audience, though, like, they don't know. Like, let's say there's someone new. They don't know that Zanuck's been lying for the past 10 years and continues to do so. But it's frustrating because that guy's still on a platform just spreading a lie. Like, just completely, like you said, that 90 degree, well, the reciprocal part of it, by definition, it can't be greater than 180 because anything then we could have got technical and be like, well, no, hold up, that's a reflex angle. Now you're going on the opposite side of it. So that's called a reflex. I could have went there with it, but it's just the way they smear the truth to try to, like, just to get to a point to say we have diverging plumb bobs because of this angle. It's like, no, that's 1,000% false.
Angles?
Yeah, see, that's the thing I'm trying to get. They can't use the plumb bob. They can't use vertical. They can't use horizontal. That's where they need to be stopped. The reciprocating part is like a red herring for you to chase, because you need 90 degrees to the plane of reference to establish a zenith.
That's correct.
So they can't have one zenith, let alone two, to calculate curvature from.
Thank you. That's it.
Yeah, exactly.
It ends right there.
Yeah, no, I know. That's the point, because what they'll do is they'll say, like this was his argument. One guy's on a mountain, he has one angle, and then you have another guy, and that angle will be together they equal more than 180. And I was like, oh my God, no, dude. Like, that is completely false. That's not the way reciprocal. But only anti-flat earthers, only these globers have that argument. No one else does, by the way. Like, no one even brings that up in that context, because they are smart and they know that, no, that's actually not reciprocal. That's that angle, that 180 is comprised of having a straight line. Anything beyond that straight line would equal more than 180. And if you have two angles looking at each other, that means you're not on the same zenith like you're talking about. You cannot, by definition, you're no longer talking about a reciprocal
Try
zenith angle.
again.
Sorry, go ahead.
Where did they get one zenith angle, let alone two?
Yeah, I thought you understood that.
Yeah, no, I do. I completely understand it. But that's in there. The way they try to twist what's happening for the listener is they'll create two positions, which will have a value when you start measuring it. But that's not the way you're doing it, because that the reciprocal zenith angle is only based upon that one zenith. Like you're saying, you're going to get the plumb of established, and then that horizontal, that level horizontal, and then you say, okay, this is my angle because I have an elevation, and I'm going to be able to take that degree angle from my 9-degree position, that my zenith. Now I can go, now I can measure this thing. But that's from one point, though. It's just by definition they are just completely wrong, and it irates me, like pisses me off when I hear them speak such nonsense. Like, it's frustrating.
I caught something the other day with Simon Dan where he was trying to say that the level theodolites from the zenith, from the 90 degree from the zenith, that's perpendicular with gravity, but that negates the horizontal plane that you need for the 90 in the first place.
So gravity creates horizontal planes. That's what we're saying.
It's them trying to get a workaround, but without realizing that you still need the horizontal plane to get the 90 or zenith.
You know what? None of those guys, they have. I'm pretty sure they have never transferred a benchmark. They've never set up equipment. Probably even most of them, should I say? A couple of them have, but they have like the audacity to step up and act like they know what they're talking about, and it frustrates me. I'm like, dude, you've never transferred a benchmark, have you? Do you even? Do you even know how you get a benchmark? Like, you understand what's happening, right? It's just frustrating.
So you're telling me that they're
guys.
still doing the 3 measurements that don't equal 180 degrees? That's what they're still talking about?
Yeah. They're saying it's greater than 180.
Yeah, I don't really care about their calculations. They are incapable of measuring the first zenith angle.
That's correct.
Let alone calculating anything past that. It's a red herring to talk about that for them.
I brought that up to them too. I telling the audience, and it's pissing me off. You don't measure greater than 180. You greater than 1. You take your before, and it pisses me off because they still keep going on and on with the lie. And I told them, when you take when you have your angle and you have a arc minute and arc second, whatever it is, that you will go ahead.
Hello. You've said this already.
Yeah.
No offense. So my question is, which approach is better, John's or yours? Because do you understand that y'all are saying two different things?
What are you talking about?
So my question is, because every time John says what he says, you repeat what you said. You both repeat what you've already said. So instead of talking in circles, my question becomes, which approach is better, do you think?
In pointing out how they're putting a formula to their angle? Because that's what I was going to say before you cut me off.
Have you said that already?
Does a triangle equal more than 180 degrees?
No, Neil. No. Why would you ask the?
So then, if they're saying that, then it's not a triangle. That's how I ended.
All right, but that's still saying what he's saying, but he's going to say it in a more complicated way. But John's point is, you don't even have a plane.
Yeah, we got
that. Zenith angle, like, So y'all aren't saying the same thing. So my question is, which one do you think is more effective?
John, you cut it right off at the knees.
When I'm not sure. I'm not sure which one's more effective per se, but I think that it being said both ways, it depends on the audience and how they're going to take it, how they're going to receive it. Some people
No.
will probably rather one way or the other, because just saying you can't get a plane, that might not resonate with some people, because obviously that's the simplest way, and I agree. Like, yeah, if you can't get a plane, then how are you starting otherwise? I agree with
If you
that.
can't get the first,
But-
how's he getting the second? It ends right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
why we
but-
call them prerequisites. So, in other words, to attain this, to suggest you've got reciprocating zenith angles, you first need the plane of reference. So once you've got the plane of reference, you've got two choices. Deny the plane of reference that you're using, or accept that it's flat. If you deny it, you haven't got anything to acquire anything with. So you've got no argument because you've got no measurements to start your claim with. Or if you accept, well, yeah, of course I've got to have a flat plane to get my 90. Well, then you've got a flat plane. Welcome to flat Earth.
Right. Right. Yeah, the second they set up their equipment and make it level, there you go. You just recreated exactly what you needed to get the 90. I totally agree.
No, the second they grab the equipment, that's what we went over the other day. The equipment negates them.
My understanding is just foregoing the horizontal plane of reference and going for a vertical plane of reference, saying that it's perpendicular with gravity.
Another contradiction in terms.
Downward
So
record.
you've got two choices again. Accept that gravity is downward to a plane of reference, which means you need a plane of reference for gravity. Or you've got a contradiction in terms, because if you're 90 degrees to a curve, because you're describing gravity outside of its own definition as being with respect to a curved surface, then you haven't got perpendicularity. It becomes an oxymoron. So again, it's pick your poison. Do you want to deny the base principle of the reference, the measurement that you need? That's one option. Or accept that you have got and will require Earth as a flat plane to start the measurement process for gravity to be a downward vector.
Beautiful.
I don't think everybody fully understands absolutely how screwed they are.
I do.
I think you're right, John. But when people say to us it can't be that simple, you're like, you obviously haven't grasped how screwed they are.
That's correct.
You're happy to continue as you were, accepting that they will utilise a horizontal plane of reference to start their argument. Like I said in the live show, put it on the cover. Put it on the cover of the book. Yeah, we'll measure Earth flat. But to get the curve, we'll bury the curve details in 25 pages of a book that you'll feel like you've got a good idea of, when in reality, the cover of the book told you measured Earth flat first. You just forgot because it was on the cover. You brushed past it like it wasn't important, like sea level
They hide
didn't
in
matter.
plain sight.
Yeah, they hide it in plain sight. Exactly, Neil.
Absolutely. The Cavendish experiment paper, when you read that, guess what's in the first paragraph?
Leveling the tool to a plane of reference, leveling the torsion bar, probably.
Yes, sir.
That's
Yeah.
correct.
They detail how they measure. And they use horizontal and vertical.
Well, when you went over that with Hop the other day with the...
Yeah,
one
the-
second.
the
When he
forces-
went over it with Hop... Okay, go ahead.
I was just going to say the alleged force is perpendicular to the plane of reference when they're doing it with the torsion bar twist. So you've got to detail what the parameters are to describe the measurement with, and perpendicularity to the use of the word, a prerequisite, flat Earth axiom that is being utilised. You can't describe the measurement without it.
Right, but I was talking about the other day because I just heard the show played back when the penny dropped for Hawk with the freaking level, with the laser level. Just the tool alone. They have no part of it.
But for what we're getting at, Occam's razor perfectly examples the crack. The simplest explanation, the one requiring the fewest assumptions, is usually the correct one.
I just wanted to ask also, since we were on the topic of science earlier, was anybody out there in Discord land or on YouTube comment, did you guys hear me at Earth Awakenings? I had like 2 spirited conversations last week. Did any of you guys catch the conversations with me talking about scientific method?
No, why don't we trim them out and bring them in?
I don't know if it's necessary. I was just wondering if there was anyone that was listening, since it has been a heated, I don't know why, discussion. Because someone says, "Do you want to debate me?" And I'm like, "On what?" He's like, "Science, geometry, and some other thing or something like that." And I'm like, "Those aren't debatable topics."
There you go.
And then
That's
he's
right.
like, "Oh, it's you running away." And I'm like, "Okay, I mean, you're a stranger. It's interesting you would think that I would care." Imagine
You're running
me.
away, Eli. You're running away.
Yeah. Like, we 5, I'm supposed to, I don't even know you. So,
See, I think we're giving them way too much attention. I couldn't give a shit what they say anymore. I understand my man over there is getting all upset, heated, and he's got a zeal, but I couldn't give a crap. They're flailing right now. It's the measurements.
Yeah, the argument you want to have after you deny the axiom that you're going to use to have the argument is irrelevant.
Yeah, it's just reality. There's nothing involved with me convincing you.
Well, that kind of goes back to their like failed epistemology, where they think consensus is reality, and that's easy to disprove.
Yeah, they're flailing. I don't waste my time with any of them anymore. It's always good to go into a server on a Friday just to have a little fun, but the more time you give them, the more you keep them alive. That's my opinion.
It's like, I swear, anymore it's become like having an argument with someone who denies that words exist, Well, how are you having this argument with me,
well, that's what I've learned. Like, I'm not going to allow you to drag me into an argument where there is no articulable problem. Very simple not to do that. Like I'll let you say what you have to say, and I'm like, so what's the problem? I'm sure you've heard me ask Vax a million times. So what's the issue? Other than clearing up that I didn't say what you said I said, what's the issue? And you could never really get down to what it actually was it? Could you? This is just somebody trying to drag people into an argument. That's what it looks like.
Yep. Because as long as there's the perception of an argument, they're winning.
That's correct. That's why you don't give them any time at all.
Yeah, one of the things you mentioned on a show from the end of last year was it really irritated the Globe side when I said words to the effect of, we don't need them anymore. That got them really irritated. It's like, yeah, because the only thing that gives them pain relief is the perception that there's an argument. As long as we're saying, oh, no, there isn't reciprocating zenith angles. Oh, yes, there is. all right, so now there's a perception that there's an argument to be had about whether or not we have reciprocating zenith angles. Whereas the attitude that, why are we even having this discussion? When you say reciprocating zenith angle, you need a zenith angle. What are you talking about? You've got a flat earth prerequisite in your oxymoron. Okay. We'll round out on that note. So with that, I'm going to say another huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G Plus panels for making today's after show possible. And of course, a massive thank you to all of you for liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, joining as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, and all that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.
But when you measure it flat, it contradicts that. I'm spitting flat facts and that. And I know you don't like that. Google Maps is flat, it presents elevation profiles like that. I'm a spitting flat earth king. Sentence has a ring, doing my own thing. If earth was a big roast chicken, factually finger licking chicken. We just got the measurements missing. I'm spitting eggs and begs, begging the question lesson. I've said it before, time after time. I'm the spitting flat earth king of rhyme.